going on, everybody? This is the Roaming Prepper channel. I'm your host, Pete, and thank you for joining me yet again. Sorry, my camera's a little screwed up on the channel. The title of today's video is it coincidence or is it a pattern? The things that we saw in the US and Canada that we thought were kind of suspicious are now happening in Europe. And the a few of our European friends believe they know what's going on. What am I talking about? I'll be right back. Let's look into this situation. Is it a coincidence or is something actually happening here? I'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for joining me once again. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and definitely check your subscription status. Actually, one of my own mods, who's been a of mine for a while, said that they came on and they were no longer subscribed. They're not getting notifications or anything. They went to look and they weren't subscribed. And they figured it out while they were modding in my live stream. So double check my subscription or your subscription with me, but also check your other channels. And if you're a creator, check and make an announcement on your community page if you or have it the access already and say, hey, look, things are happening here because I think uh, YouTube's playing algorithm games for an election year and it may be hurting, or people are not leaving comments. The way the algorithm works, if you never comment and you don't hit a like or put gibberish, or you can put a poop emoji. I don't care if I see poop emojis, I'll know what that is. Or you don't jump into the live streams and actually communicate with the other folks and you just kind of listen, it says, oh, you're really not active on the channel and it kicks you off. So double check your stuff with me and the other creators. And if you're having trouble and you want to reach out to me, the roaming prepper at gmail.com. I'll be happy to share your channel, especially if you're under 1,000 people. Bigger channels, I'm not as worried about you guys because we've kind of been doing this for a bit. But if you're a little channel and you're getting whacked real bad, reach out. Some of the other channels like myself will be happy to say, hey, if you were subscribed to so and so, double check your subscription and just kind of help you out a little bit. Anyway, moving on from there. Title of the video: is it a coincidence or is it a pattern? Um, we had a lot of stuff happen in the U.S. aside from the fires, meat processing plants, chicken derailments, boats making 90-degree turns, big ships into the bridge in Baltimore, other tugboats suddenly losing control of barges, even though they go up and down these riverways, four times a day for the last 10 years. All of a sudden he loses nav and into there goes the barge goes into a dam, into a bridge. There's been a lot of stuff here in the US, in Canada, and everyone's like, that's kind of suspicious. Well, it turns out we're not the only ones. This map shows mystery fires at NATO states' industrial hubs amid sabotage woes. So, sorry for the advertisements. Fires that broke out in Germany and Denmark this week are the latest unexplained blazes hitting sites in NATO countries. Recently, on Thursday, a scrap metal facility in Hamburg's port area ignited a fire after the fire department in Copenhagen said it had brought under control a fire at an office building belonging to pharmaceutical firm Novo Nordisk. Other mystery fires have hit sites in Lithuania, Poland, and the United Kingdom at a time of high tensions between NATO and Russia due to its invasion of Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. So, and that's a picture of one of the fires. Let's roll down to the map itself. Let me see if I can make the map bigger. And no, it will not let me make the map bigger. Or maybe it will. Nope, it won't. Okay, so sorry, map will not be bigger, and they're advertising these stupid shirts here. Anyway, um, so in Lithuania was a pipeline fire, and it turned out to be a gas pipeline fire. And this was on well, that one's a while ago, January 23. Lithuania in May of this year, a fire at an IKEA store. I'm not thinking that's like the Russians are like, oh, we're going to destroy IKEA. That kind of sounds kind of silly. Um, Fire at a shopping center, May 11th. But then this is interesting. The Deal Metal site, one of the manufacturers of metal in Germany, in Berlin, May. Scrap metal fire in Hamburg, completely different city. Metal just doesn't catch fire. It can get inflamed. It can combust, but a chemical reaction is needed, a very specific one depending on the metal. You can't just put a match to steel and it's nothing's going to happen other than it gets hot. So what the hell is that? That's interesting. Then in Denmark, fire at the pharma plant. In London, fire at a warehouse linked to a Ukrainian businessman. And then in Glasgow, Wales, explosion in the BAE factory. BAE is a weapons manufacturer. Some of their products are being sent to the Ukraine. And in the Polish president, Donald Tusk, that's a funny name, has not ruled out sabotage in the fire that gutted a Warsaw shopping mall. Germany, the Deal metal plant, and it says, and then the Deal Metal plant social media users noted how Deal Metal is a subsidiary of the German Deal Group, which manufactures the Iris T missiles that are being used in Ukraine. The spokesman said no armaments are produced on the site, but you don't have to destroy the armaments. You can destroy the components of the armament, right? You don't have to go blow up, Boeing, but go set fire to the plant that makes the rudders on the 737 and you'll screw up Boeing indirectly, right? But oh, it was an accident in the small plant, right? Um, Hamburg, 60 tons of scrap metal was on fire. That can happen, but it takes a very specific chemical reaction to do. I don't know what kind of metal it is. I don't know what the issues were. Lithuania, that was back in 2023. But and then the IKEA fire, I don't know how that became espionage. That just sounds like wood caught fire. United Kingdom is interesting. Two men have been charged with helping Russian intelligence services following a fire that broke out in a warehouse linked to a Ukrainian businessman. And then British police last month arrested 8 people on suspicion of setting a fire, which spurred Britain's FCDO office to summon the Russian ambassador. And then there was a fire at the British BAE Systems, which is a weapons contractor, kind of like Lockheed or Raytheon or Stuart Stevenson. Those guys make some heavy duty gear. You can look them up. So why would Russia do this? Now, there are a couple of ways you can look at it. One, it could be random, like absolutely random. That I'm struggling with. Two, Russia could be doing it, but why? Are they trying to provoke a war? Are they using like third parties to do things to be disruptive to Ukraine in some indirect way? Possibly. But on the flip side, if Russia gets um, correlated to this, if Russia gets implicated in this, that's going to bring more sanctions. The UN's going to be against them. It's going to cause more problems. Russia's got their hands full with an invasion of Ukraine. A lot of folks think they're winning. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Russia is very good at launching wars and just dragging them on for years until the other country basically falls apart. Um, Hard to say. That being said, Russia could have done this to disrupt supplies coming to Ukraine. Who else? Maybe American defense contractors want more wars. So, well, we left Afghanistan, so we provoke wars elsewhere, and we'll just send more equipment and we make money. Right? All these stimulus packages we're sending to Ukraine don't actually, all that money doesn't actually go to Ukraine. Some of it does, and then apparently it's going to like guys to buy cars and shit. But the other goes to defense contractors to build X amount of weapons, right? They get $10 million. They've been $10 million worth a year and ship it to Ukraine in theory. And then their CEO buys a new car. So you kind of see what I'm saying. It's just so incestuous, this whole deal. It just offends. Um, who else would benefit? The Chinese? Oh, if Russia and the US get into a war, nobody's going to pay attention to us. We can go attack Taiwan, pick on the Philippines, and maybe go and steal the Siberian oil pipeline. Who knows? I, there's so many directions. And by the way, that last one, China fighting Russia, was something Tom Clancy wrote about in his book, The Bear and the Dragon. Is one of his books in the early 90s. And he hypothesized that China, with their population, that at some point their economy might crater and they would need oil and resources and they would go and fight with Russia over Siberia, where they have massive wood forests and pine forests and oil and rare earth minerals and all this stuff. So who knows? So you see what they're attacking, and then remember here we had derailments and things hitting bridges and whatnot. So what's our takeaway? Obviously, none of this is in our control. Well, look at what they hit. They hit weapons, they hit transport, they hit fuel. Now, remember, we got hacked the pipeline back in 22, I believe, and they shut down the pipeline that went to the East Coast with natural gas and oil, which then affected the price of gasoline, and then things spurred from there. Um, if something were to break out, that would be the template, that would be the model. They would go after the manufacturing plants, they would go after transportation modes, railroads, highways, bridges, and they would disrupt energy. Because you disrupt energy, you make it hard to transport things. Again, our logistics chain in the West is very vulnerable. It's pretty much vulnerable anywhere. You start derailing trains, you start setting fire to cars on bridges and shut bridges down. Um, it will cause a disruption that will last for hours, if not days, at a minimum. If you damage the bridge or you make it crash into the bay like they did in Baltimore, whether that was deliberate or not, who the hell knows? Um, more things, it takes longer to recover. Now think about it, just to give you some perspective. You ever get caught in behind an accident on the rush hour traffic, right? Somebody had an accident at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You get out of work at 5. You're trying to go home. Everything's screwed up. The whole place is backed up. They may have already cleared part of the accident, but by the time the traffic in front starts moving out and it makes its way to where you can start moving again, it's going to be another 40 minutes. And that's a car accident. Imagine blowing up a bridge. It These are the kind of things that bug me because there's nothing we can do about them and they're hard to predict. But you can look at what they were after. Again, the energy, transportation, and manufacturing. But the transportation's a hard one because that can include vehicles, it can include bridges, it can include airlines, um, it can include a lot of stuff. And you all remember the FAA had issues with their aircraft tracking last year as well. Was that a hack? Nobody will admit to it. But again, understanding what a foe of your country, the enemy, or whatever bad person might do kind of informs you as to how you should prepare. This is why you should keep your vehicle more than half a tank at all times. This is why you should have the batteries, the jackeries, the generators, the extra gasoline. This is why going solar, if you have property, you can do like a solar wall in your house. Not a bad option if that's where geographically it works. Understanding the steps you can take to mitigate these kind of hits. When you see stuff like this, don't freak out. Read it and then understand, okay, if they did this here, what do I want to have in place should it happen? And then it focuses your time, your effort, and your spending on the things that might make a difference. And remember, you're way more likely to have a blackout just from a storm, which we had here in Texas and Oklahoma recently, than from a hack. But if you have a jackery and flashlights and all those basic things, guess what? It works for a tornado if they take out the power. It also works for a hack if they take down the grid. Understanding what the most likely scenarios are will keep you focused so you spend your money wisely and your time wisely. And remember, as I've said in my book, time is a resource. Don't forget that. In any case, that's it for this one. You guys be good, be safe, and I will see you on the next video. Take care out there.